は全く報じませんでした。このようにして宣伝と
I did hear that from Intel, that there was a raid on churches, closing some churches. So it didn't sound to me like South Korea.
This represents the largest crackdown of an independent Christian congregation in China since the Cultural Revolution.
4 countries, 1 pattern, and a question no one in the English-speaking world is asking.
They want to silence the church that criticizes the anti-biblical values.
An 82-year-old woman, nearly blind from glaucoma, recovering from heart surgery, still in a 70-square-foot cell, jailed before any conviction.
Whomever you call God, this is an attack on religious freedoms, and if they go after Mother Moon, they will go after us next.
苦しい思いをしてきたのは事実だと思います。
In Japan, a court dissolved a religious organization with millions of members. In China, churches were raided across 7 cities on the same day. Muslims, Buddhists, and Christians facing the same machine.
My father, Pastor Ezra Jin, was arrested by the Chinese authorities along with 27 other pastors and church leaders from Zion Church.
And in North Korea, owning a Bible is allegedly punishable by death. South Korea is just starting. Japan has set the legal precedent. China is the origin. North Korea is the end. Same road, different mile markers, and people of every faith are on it.
And now we have a report and testimony given by David Okamoto, so if we can welcome him up.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, sorry for this video. I give you a little shock, and we are so uplifted by the Spirit of God and by His grace. But even in this kind of situation, we are under His grace. You agree? So today is my talk. Can you put on the screen? Okay. So the title is a prayer for religious freedom and peace. As already knows, you know that there was so much attack to the faith community throughout the world. In America, that assassination of the Charlie Kirk is not that long ago. And also in Nigeria, many Christian Christians are murdered by the radicals. And so this trend is, we thought that it's far away, right? I mean, especially when we are in America, we felt that it was far away. But we're just getting closer to closer. Especially, came from Japan about 45 years ago. It's long ago, but I was born and raised in Japan. But in Japan, that the higher court of Japan basically decided to dissolve the Family Federation for World Peace. This is another name, religious name for the unification movement, Family Federation. So That just happened March 4th, 2026. I'll explain that more in detail later. But what's happened is they closed down the entire churches. There are 400 places, and place for worship, dormitory, even cemetery. They shut down. Yeah, that's so heartbroken. That also happened overnight, not even overnight. 1 hour after they made the announcement. So in other words, the government already prepared long ago to shut down immediately entire country. You cannot, and you may not understand why in Japan. Japan is such a peaceful, country and very clean. People are working hard and very diligent. But why in Japan? When I visited some churches in here, New York, and I explained that this one, but the pastor said, "Wow, I never knew that. I had no idea what's happening." And he asked me to explain to all congregations because nobody really knew what's happening. Actually, when you watch the TV news, they don't talk about it, right? Just you saw the little bit clip that President Trump told the Korean president that I heard that there's a raid to the church and Christian pastors are arrested. Is that really true? And he said, no, I'm not doing it. My special prosecutor who are assigned to investigate is doing it, not me. He escaped. But reality is he's behind all of this. So in Korea, the government imprisoned major Christian pastors, and they are sentenced to many years in jail. And especially Dr. Hak Cha-han Moon, she is an internationally known peacemaker and founder of many organizations, including ACLC. She is in detention for already 170 days. And that's very tiny cell and very cold and no bed. And she cannot walk. So she has to crawl inside the cell. And she fell many times and she has in tremendous pain. But still the government and the court that won't let her just stay in the bed or hospital. They don't do that. It is modern day torture. And one of the friends from the, I think Czechoslovakia, former Soviet Union, said that he went through the detention in a communist country, but it's not that bad. Yeah, that current situation of the Dr. Hak Cha-han Moon is worse than in the communist country. That's really bad. So we still waiting for the what is this? Okay. So religious leaders from the world visiting and try to really make a statement that this is a violation of the human rights and a violation of religious freedom, and without any conviction, and there is no evidence, material evidence, still they detain religious founder, religious leader in jail of many days, many months. That's unbelievable. But those Christians and or other faith leaders is coming together and now standing up, but also that we are we must also stand up. Actually, we cannot just let those leaders to stand up, but also it is our time to stand up. That's I believe. So I just want to explain that a little bit more about the Japan. And I came from US 45 years ago. I was a student. I was very young at that time. I met this movement, unification movement in Japan. And I was so inspired and changed my life. I finally realized God is real. God is working in our life. And the sacrifice of Jesus, blood of Jesus, really changed the people's life, our life. We are born again. All these kind of things that came to me, and I started this journey to really bring the message, especially the Reverend Moon and Mrs. Moon. They are the one that really working so hard to carry out what Jesus said 2,000 years ago. So that was in Japan, that why this movement, over 100,000 membership and over 400 churches are immediately shut down. Why? Why it happened? I can just explain that the legal things in detail, but it would take too long. So I want to explain a little bit more, like, how it happened. Basically, you can imagine that 10 years ago, you had a speeding ticket. Maybe you did a little bit rough, driving. 5 times you got speeding ticket. Then suddenly you got the notice that after 10 years later, now the law is changed. You will lose your license today. You'll be shocked, right? You feel it's unjust because it's already happened and you already paid the price, but still, the law changed. You will lose the license. So that's what happened for the Unification Church, former Unification Church Family Federation. So all these, if you look at the history, the unification movement in Japan was really focused on victory over communism. In other words, those days, especially in 1968, Reverend Samuel Moon founded the victory over the communism against the spread of communism. You may not really understand what the communism is. Actually, I was surprised that many people doesn't know what the communism is. Maybe thinks that the socialism. But I was a student, and I was recruited by the communist movement. I studied extensively, in reality. I almost start to believe that there is no God. That's what communism will do to you, make you believe there's no God. Then I met this movement, unification movement. Then they said, there is God. Then I have to choose which is it. So it was quite a struggle. But of course, right now I'm here, so I concluded there is God. Yes. All right. Yeah. But this was, in Japan, Korea, this is a huge issue because Japan, the Communist Party, is the largest in the whole world in the democratic society. So that communism, they recognize that our movement is really trying to educate people about danger of the communism, atheism. Then there was really big defeat for them, some election in a big city. Then they declared that their chairman declared that destruction of the VOC and also Unification Church. That was the 1978. They declared they would destroy. So that was the beginning of the quite ordeal for our church, especially our stance, so strong stance against the communism. So what they did is they mobilized many lawyers and also some anti, like our religious, activities. And they started kidnapping our members, and picking up from the street, picking up from when they visited their home. And 4,300 members are kidnapped. They are confined, and they are, in America called deprogramming. Basically, giving them the false information, and they have to denounce their faith. Otherwise, they cannot get out. That was the situation that happened over like 30 years. And finally, one member escaped from the detention. For after 12 years detention, he was almost dead. Like he stabbed himself to die. You can see that this person, Mr. Goto. So he won the case in Tokyo High Court. So after that, this kidnapping and deprogramming start to fade away. But what's happening is that during this time, so many lawsuits against our church. They're asking that they are deceived and they want to get the money back, donation back. That's happened, so many of those. Because they have to prove themselves, they denounced their faith. So as the evidence that they sued our church. More than 4,000 cases. So that's why we are victim actually, but reality that in society and especially communism party and more radical lawyers, they created a media campaign that labeling us as the evil empire, basically. This whole Japan, if you survey Japanese people, 98% would say our movement is absolutely evil, need to be stopped. Wow, it's completely different reality. You can see that we are not the evil person, right? We are basically, we just follow the Bible, the words of Christ. But that's what's happening. Then finally, but it was quiet over 10 years, or maybe 16 years. But suddenly, Prime Minister Abe was assassinated in 2022. He was a very righteous prime minister and very close to America. And anyway, he was assassinated. And that time, that assassin, he was really the terrorist. He leaked the information that his mother was a member of our movement, and she donated a very large amount of money, and he suffered because of that. That's why he was so resentful to our church, and then this Prime Minister Abe was very friendly to us. That's why he killed him. Then actually all Japanese media reported, Japanese people believed it completely. So that this is terrorist. This terrorist used that as a propaganda and to make you believe the completely different reality. That's what happened. Then also the politicians believed it. Then finally in 2022, why it doesn't move? I cannot move this one. Moved? Okay, sorry, it's moved. And Prime Minister that time, Kishida, he suddenly changed the law, interpretation of the law that government can dissolve the church based on a civil case, lawsuit or claim against the church. But you can imagine that all the claim is about those people who lost their faith because of the deprogramming. It's so unjust, right? Unjust. But that's what they believed. Then finally went to the lower court, Supreme Court, higher court, and they decided to dissolve the church. That's the final order. And immediately, this announcement, 400 churches are closed down. But why? What is the reason? I mean, that they are not just saying that I will just close down, but they explain that reason why unification movement should be dissolved. One thing is that they say that because of the teaching of the Reverend Samuel Moon and Hakshahan Moon. And they quoted many their speeches, and one of the speeches, as a mother of the world, even if we starve, Japan will protect the countries of the world and provide the financial aid to nurture them. Is there anything wrong with this statement? But actually, they use that because of this kind of belief and teaching, this organization will continue to collect the donation, force people to collect the donation. Well, isn't that the freedom of religion that to promote the peace and promote the service and promote the sacrifice for the sake of others? But for the government court, this is a wrong information, a wrong motivation. And also so this is really the attack to the freedom of religion, absolutely. And you can see that it's very similarity to the Christian teaching, right? Jesus said, if you want to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the poor, and you have treasure in heaven, and come follow me, right? Matthew 19:21. And he said, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. So this is a word of Jesus, really finally give us the clear picture that our life should be the life of service and sacrifice. And also that we need to overcome the material temptations. But for the court, this was a really bad teaching. But can the government decide which teaching is good, what teaching is bad? Shouldn't be, right? Shouldn't be. But that's what they did. So this is basically how they decided on that case. This is just from newspaper, why they decided to close down this big organization, international organization, because there is a risk and there is a potential harm to the society. Potential. And did you, I don't know if you remember the movie, it's called Minority Report. And you know that movie kind of very interesting. That you'll be judged, you'll be going to go to jail based on your potential. You may commit the crime in the future. They decide, government decide, and you put you into the jail. So that's what's happening here, exactly. So to prevent illegal acts, the reason why that they cannot really prove that this organization is committing the crime is because there's no crime is committed, nothing. So they have to create this amazing reasoning. This organization have the potential to commit the crime in the future. So this cannot be allowed in the democratic society, and I immediately appeal to the Supreme Court. And also this is Japan also have a constitution to protect the religious freedom, human right, but it's still the very immature or weak compared to the America. You know, American Constitution is based on faith, you know, one nation under God. And so all human rights come from God, the Creator. That is the American religious constitution. But Japan's constitution came from America, but just kind of borrowed framework, but not really essence. Essence is God, but it's not there in Japan. So that's why religious people are so important, and all faith must be protected. Otherwise, there is a force that coming to stop all the faith and the faith organizations, churches. That is the communism. And you saw the video. Basically, communism is continuously deny the existence of God through the cultural war, through media, social media, education, and you know that in even American society, that when you go to the high school, you learn that the human being is not created by God. They teach Darwin, right? And evolution theory. Where it's come from? That's a fake theory, but it is taught in the school, and many are already believing that. So that's why it's so important to unite faith leaders, Christian leaders, and pastors, ministers, to be aware of this reality and really work together with the international community. This is one of the pastors in Japan. There's some pastors, not many, but almost all religious leaders are approving this dissolution order, unfortunately. But there are some pastors, like the Christian pastor in Tokyo, to all members of the Family Federation, please take heart. Justice will surely prevail. There is no one in this Japan who has been persecuted, misunderstood, and made to suffer like all of you. But the greater the suffering, the more surely God will heal and restore you all. Please take heart. This is the word you can find in the Bible, 1 Peter 4:13. And also the American politicians and those former aides for the Trump administration, he formed this International Association Religious Foundation. So Mr. Sam Brownback is really strongly against protesting this kind of order. And also the President Trump is clearly informed by all his cabinet members about this situation. And Ms. Takaichi, new prime minister, first woman prime minister of Japan, is coming to US on 19th of this month. And so we will be there to welcome her. So she has to make a decision. She has to decide which way she wants to go. She wants to be in God's side or other side. Unfortunately, that's the decision she has to make at this point. And a message from Mother Moon to members in Japan. It's from just recent, a couple of days ago. She said, "Beloved members in Japan, please do not lose sight of the center, it's God, until the very end. The dream of our Heavenly Parent will surely be fulfilled. Therefore, no matter what circumstances we face, we must not lose heart. We must continue forward with faith in our Heavenly Parent. Our Heavenly Parent knows all of our prayers and devotions. Heaven knows every tears we shed and every hardship we experience." Mother of Peace. Thank you very much.